I want to welcome you back. This is tutorial 2 of learning to use GeoGebra, and today we want to make an equilateral triangle. So an equilateral triangle has all three sides being equal length and all three angles being equal to 60 degrees. So to get started, we want to change perspective to the geometry perspective. We want to go to Options, select Labeling, New Points Only, and for this exercise, I'm not going to turn on the grid. I think it looks better without the grid. So the first thing we want to do is make the base of our equilateral triangle. So go to Line, select Line Segment, and then just click anywhere for the starting and end points to make your base. And so that's going to be the base of our triangle. So now to make an equilateral triangle, our other two sides have to be equal to the length of the line segment AB. So no matter how we move A and B around, as we click on the points and drag around, we want to maintain an equilateral triangle. So to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to select Circle with Center Through Point, and we'll click on point A, and that will make a circle centered at point A, and we want the circle to go through point B. Okay, and notice that the radius of that circle is equal to the length of our triangle, length of the base of our triangle. And so we want to do the same thing at point B. So select point B, and we want to make a circle centered at point B that goes through point A. And that also has a radius equal to the length of the base of our equilateral triangle. So now notice that these two circles intersect at 2 points. So let's focus on the top point here. So if I were to draw a line segment from point A to this point of intersection, that will be equal to the length of the radius of the circle centered at A. And if I were to draw a line segment from point B to that intersection point, that will equal the radius of the circle centered at B. And we know that both of those are equal to the length of the base of our equilateral triangle. So it will indeed give us 3 equal sides like what we want. So let's do that. So let's go to Point, select Intersect, and now we want to create the point exactly at the intersection of those two circles. So get close to that intersection. Make sure both circles are selected. Make sure they're both bold. And click to create that point. All right, so now that we have our point, let's create our sides. So the side from A to C, and the side from B to C. So now we've created all the sides of our equilateral triangle. So let's go ahead and make the triangle by selecting Polygon. And we want to trace out the points of our triangle in counterclockwise direction. So let's start at point A. Click on point A. Click on point B. Click on point C, and then close by clicking back on point A. So now we have our equilateral triangle. So now these circles were used in the construction, but we really don't want to look at them when we're looking at our triangle. So let's go ahead and select right-click on both circles and click on Show Object to make them go away. And there's our equilateral triangle. So we can use the drag test, drag it around. We can actually click on our points, change the orientation, the size. C is fixed by the intersection of the triangles, or intersection of the circles, so we can't change point C. We can change point A and B, and notice that when we do that, that actually just changes the radius of our circles, but we know that point C, that A to C is a radius, B to C is a radius, and A to B is a radius of those circles, so it maintains our equilateral triangle. So now, we said before that the angles of this equilateral triangle should be 60 degrees each, so it'd be nice to see that. So let's go ahead and do that. Click on the angle, and then click in the center of the triangle. So that creates the three angles, and you notice if we drag these out, we can see that the angles are indeed equal to 60 degrees. So there's another thing we can do here. We don't really need the angle names in this case. So you can double click and that'll redefine the angle. So that'll open up that object, that angle object. Go to Object Properties. And Object Properties, you can change a lot of different things. So it's got some basic properties such as their name, the definition, whether you show the object. You can change the colors if you want. You can change the style, the line thicknesses, the line styles, the sizes. You can do some advanced things when we later on when we get to scripting and some of the programming aspects. You can program each of these individual objects. But for now, we just want to go here and where it says Show Label, where it says Name and Value. You just want to change that to Value. Okay, and that'll just show the value of the angle. Do the same thing for the other ones. Object Properties, go back to the basic, and just show the value. And then you can click on them, move them around, reposition them so they look nice. So when you're doing that, go ahead and play around with some of those other properties and see what they do. Start getting a feel for that. So there it is. There's our equilateral triangle. And so I mentioned before that if we made objects disappear, that one thing we could do was go back to the algebra view. There's another way to do that. If you go up to the menu bar and you select Object Properties, now you can actually bring up that same dialog so you can turn off and on the visibility of the different object properties without having to go back to the algebra view, which can be a little bit of a pain. But I wanted to show you multiple options, so this is probably the preferred option for doing that. So like let's say we wanted to take off the labels of the points for each of the sides that define the points of the triangle. We can turn those off, and now we're left with a very nice, clean-looking equilateral triangle. So when we turn off the points, now we can no longer select the points and move the triangle around. So we'd have to come, if we wanted to do that, we can easily come back in, go back to Object Properties, turn back on the visibility to the point that we wanted to move around. And now we can come back in here and start moving point A around again, changing the orientation and the size of our equilateral triangle. So have some fun playing around with that, and I'll see you next time.